Hello, everybody. This is Pastor Willie, and this is the encouraging word for today. What happens when a door closes in your life, in your personal life, in your business life, or in your ministry life, your walk with God? Maybe you have a plan to do something, a real great plan, a good plan, but the door closes and you can't do it. Maybe it's to go back to school, but the door closes. That's a good door. Or maybe it's to go to Las Vegas for a weekend of crazy partying at a convention. That's a bad door. So how do you discern if God is closing a door or Satan is closing a door? Number one, Satan cannot close doors that God opens for you. Period. Satan cannot close doors that God opens for you. God opens doors that no one can shut, it says in Revelation chapter 3, verse 8. There may be opposition, and there always will be opposition, but you persist through it. It may be hard to push that door open. I'm not talking about that. Paul and his team faced persecution, but that wasn't a closed door. That was opposition, not a closed door. So distinguish between opposition, which requires persistence, difficulty, which requires persistence, disappointment, which requires persistence, from a closed door. There's no opening whatsoever. So that's the first discernment to make. Is it a good door or a bad door? Satan cannot close a door God opens for you. Now, a bad door, Satan's not going to close a bad door for you. If your plans don't work out to go to Vegas for that crazy weekend of partying, that's not Satan closing the door. And most likely, it's God closing the door to protect you. Do not persist when God closes that kind of a door. But many times you have to make your own decision. The door is open, maybe the door it's closed, but you try to go around it, different way, whatever. Don't open a door God is closing. That's always almost always a bad door. The real difficulty comes when the door is a good door and God closes a good door, because that does happen. Maybe it's a door where you want to serve God in some way. You want to do some type of ministry, but God closes it. What do you do? And again, remember, we're not talking about difficulty, disappointment, which require persistence, opposition, which require persistence, but a closed door from God. What do you do? Let's look at Acts 16, verse 6 and 7. Paul and his companions traveled throughout the region of Phrygia and Galatia, having been kept by the Holy Spirit from preaching the word in the province of Asia. When they came to the border of Mysia, they tried to enter Bithynia, but the Spirit of Jesus would not allow them to. They were doing God's will. They were spreading the message. And they decided it would be a great idea to go into a new province, the province of Asia, or province of Bithynia. Let's go there. They don't know anything about Jesus there. Let's go there. Let's take a major step and go there. But they're kept by the Holy Spirit from preaching the word in the province of Asia. The Holy Spirit stopping them from preaching the word to unsaved people? It wasn't opposition, and they knew what opposition was. persecution, being beaten. Paul had been left for dead after he had been stoned a few weeks ago. I mean, stoned with rocks. What's going on here? God is closing a door for something like spreading the gospel? Then when they come to the border of Mysia, another new province, they tried to enter Bithynia. But the Spirit of Jesus would not allow them to. Good things, things that God tells us to do in His Word. And yet the Spirit of Jesus closed the door. My first question is, how did they know God closed the door? There are no specifics given in the verses, but God made it clear to them in a way they could understand clearly that He was closing those areas to them. And I trust that and I believe that. God knows how to speak to me, so I know that it's Him. God knows how to speak to you, make it clear to you, so you will know it is Him. He knows your name. He knows how you need to be communicated with, so you will understand that that door, a good door though it may be, is closed to you. So I trust God, and I know they knew it was God, because there's no further discussion or question. They were seeking to do His will, but God closes the door and says, no, not here. God's direction in their life. They're not talking about opposition. They had plenty of that. This was not opposition. It was God closing the door. And God does close doors. In that same verse in Revelation, He closes doors no one can open. And He will, trust this, He will make it clear to you when it's necessary that He is closing the door. You'll say, God closed that door. So what do they do now? That's the easy question. Keep doing the last thing God told you to do. When God closes a door, keep doing the last thing He told you to do until He opens a new door. How long are you going to wait until He opens a new door? A week? A year? 10 years? A lifetime? Correct answer is all of the above. It's never God's will for you to go in a different direction if you have not completed your current commitment. That's like trying to get things are going difficult. Oh, I just got hit with stones. The people are persecuting me. I think God's calling me to go into Asia. I don't think that was Paul's attitude, but it could have been my attitude. Get God to rubber stamp the fact that I want to be out of here. It's getting too difficult. This marriage is getting too tough. I want out of here. This ministry is getting too difficult now. I want out of here. God's going to open a new door. God closed the doors, so they kept doing the last thing He told them to do. What do you do when God closes the door? Answer, keep doing the last thing He told you to do. So Paul and his companions kept doing what they were doing. And tomorrow, on the Encouraging Word, live on Facebook, we're going to see what happens. Because if they had tried to do their own way, they would have missed what God had in store for them. God bless you. Keep doing what God told you to do. And see you again tomorrow.